Freebo came out of an acid trip, 1967. My band that I was in, three of us were tripping, and one guy, Michael, was not, and he gave nicknames to everybody. It just kind of happened. And one guy wound up being Frog, and one guy was Euripides, and I was growing my hair long like an afro. So I became Fro, and Fro turned into Froby. And I mentioned to a friend, he said, Froby, he said, I'm not Freebo. I said, yeah, I like that. I was supposed to be a doctor, and had no intention of being a musician, but my mother made me take piano lessons 5 years old, and it turns out that gave me a background. My dad taught me a couple chords on the ukulele at one point, and going to high school I was going to play football, which I did, and my mom said, why don't you take an instrument in the band? So I took up the tuba, because I always liked the record as a kid, Tubby the Tuba.
Aww.
And, my favorite record. And there was always music around the house, classical music and show tunes, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Louis Armstrong. And I was in the a cappella choir in high school, sang, Christmas carols. I always liked the bass parts, I sang the bass parts. And then between junior and senior high school, I went off to, as a waiter at a summer camp in the Poconos, Pennsylvania, and met a counselor. Her name was Marilyn, and Marilyn was a Philadelphia folkie. And she showed me how to play, the basic 5-6 chords on a guitar, and I could relate to that because I played a little bit those chords on a ukulele.
I'll do another tune that I use as partial capo on it. It's a title cut from a couple records ago. Kind of harkens back to my days growing up as a kid in a little coal town, eastern Pennsylvania, back in the 50s. Republicans and Democrats actually talked to each other. What a concept, huh?
Now I could play a little bit of guitar, and I went home and I told my band director I learned how to play guitar. He said, hey, we got this old Martin guitar that's been sitting in the closet forever, and you could have it for your senior year. And it was great. So now I got myself a guitar, and a buddy of mine played guitar. We played football and basketball together, and he showed me a couple more things. And I'd play at parties for people, and just kind of accompany. I wasn't really into singing. Didn't think I had a very good singing voice. Then I went off to college, and that didn't work out too well, the doctor thing, and I wound up in a school in Germany, and I had a roommate named Jerry Donahue. He was like, 19, I was 20, and he was a guitar player, and he pulled out his guitar the very first day and started playing, and I didn't have a guitar, so I found a kid down the hall, had him to borrow his guitar, and I just sat down with him and just kind of started jamming along, and I just kind of went to the bass notes, because that's kind of the way I think. And he stopped playing. He said, how'd you learn how to do that? I said, I don't know, I just do it. He said, well, you're a natural bass player. We got to get you a bass. So we did. We got a frameless bass for like 50 marks, which was $12.50, 1965. And so we started a little band and played it, a couple shows, a couple Army PXs, and played around the school. That's kind of where I started playing bass. It was a fun band. I went back to school at University of Pennsylvania in Philly, and I joined the Glee Club. And the guy in the Glee Club down the hall from me had a guitar, and I played his guitar a little bit. And he said, wow, you're a pretty good guitar player. He said, I got to introduce you to this other guy in the Glee Club. He plays guitar and keyboards, and he can play a song. He can hear a song, and he can just play the chord changes. And I thought, well, I can do that. I mean, can't everybody do that? I thought everybody can do that. And apparently everybody can't do that. So we met, and I sat down and we played, and he said, wow, he said, we're just starting a band, we need a bass player. I said, I can do that, because I had done that in the other band. And that band became the Edison Electric Band, which was, we got a record deal out of Philly, and we opened up for people like Grateful Dead and Janis Joplin, Big Brother, and Procol Harum, and Van Morrison.
The song I wrote with Ronnie Cox. You know who Ronnie Cox is?
Yeah.
song's called It Goes By Fast, because it sure does. When I was a boy walking down by the tracks, what in the world did I know? I knew the world wasn't flat and I was faster than Jack, and I knew that I'd never grow old. Time is a game of hide and seek, it will catch you when it can. Now I'm walking along those tracks, trying to understand, and it goes by fast. It's true that nothing lasts. You know time must pass, but it goes by fast. I was 17 when I fell in love. What in the world did I know? Hypnotized, those beautiful eyes, lost in a world of my own. Love is a game of hide and seek, it will blind you 'cause it can. But I find my way and I live each day, trying to understand, and it goes by fast. It's true that nothing lasts. You know time must pass, but it goes by fast. Time and life and love and all of their mysteries. Nothing I have learned is what it seems to be. La 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 bum ba. La 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 bum ba. I don't know the words, I don't speak Spanish. I live in California, where everybody speaks Spanish but me. Shake it up, baby, twist and shout. Come on, baby, come on, to work it on out, yeah. You know you twist, little girl, you know you twist so fine. Come on, twist a little closer, let me know you're mine. So here I am, I'm a full-grown man, and what in the world do I know? I've found through the years of laughter and tears, you don't have to do what you're told. Life is a game, you take your chance, and you play the best you can. So I stumble along and I carry on, trying to understand, and it goes by fast. It's true that nothing lasts. You know time must pass, but it goes by fast. Yes, it goes by fast. It's true that nothing lasts. You know time must pass, but it goes by fast. It goes by fast. It goes so fast.
We were opening for Procol Harum in 1968. Dick Waterman brought his girlfriend down at the time, 18-year-old Bonnie Raitt. And Bonnie really liked the band and liked the way I played. And I went to her first gig in Philly. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so terrible, I'm so terrible." And of course, she's great, everybody loves her. And I saw her like a year later, and she had her brother playing bass. She was a little more seasoned. a year after that, she called me up and said, I hear your band's breaking up. I'd love it if you come and play bass on the record. I like the way you play, and maybe you could come up and we learn a couple tunes. So I did, and did a guest set, and it worked out well. So I just kind of slid from the end of the Edison Electric Band breaking up into the beginning of playing with Bonnie. That lasted for over 10 years and took me to where I got a lot of visibility because it was just the two of us sitting next to each other. And met a lot of people. I mean, like, you know, Jackson and Taj Mahal and Old George and just a whole bunch of people that I got to play with. And so it just kind of happened all by accident.
When I played with Bonnie, I started with her in 1971, and for the first 3 years we were a duo, and it was pretty cool. We went all over the country and made records together, and obviously it was her gig, so she would come up with the tunes and she'd show me a tune, and I'd figure out what to play on bass, and we'd come up with an arrangement for two people, and it was a lot of fun. And we learned the tunes, we take them out and play them, and eventually we go in and make a record, put together a band, and those are the songs that you hear today, and those old records, all the records in the 70s. And particularly those first 3 years, when we spent that time together, we did a lot of that stuff we arranged it ourselves, and I'm very proud of some of those arrangements, and particularly this one that found its way onto her fourth record and played with her hundreds of times. And I decided about 2 years ago how much I really enjoyed the song, and I started playing it myself and came up with my own arrangement, just put it on my new record. And so I want to share it with you. So this is my arrangement. Well, actually, this is going to be our arrangement of my arrangement, of Bonnie's and my arrangement, of John Prine's wonderful song, Angel from Montgomery. I am an old woman, named after my mother. My old man is another child that's grown old. His dreams of thunder and lightning was designed, but this old house would have burned down such a long time ago. Make me an angel that flies from a gun. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go. When I was a young girl, I had me a cowboy. Weren't much to look at, just a free rambling man. But that was a long time ago. No matter how I tried, the years just flew by like a broken down dam. Make me an angel that flies from a gun. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go. There's flies in the kitchen, I hear 'em all buzzing, and I ain't done nothing since I woke up today. How the hell can a person go to work in the morning and come home in the evening and have nothing to say? Make me an angel that flies from a gun. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go. Yes, it is.
I started writing songs in like the mid to late 80s. And I started writing because of what I shared because I just felt like I had something to say. And I got this flash, I think you have little points of destiny in your life. There's those moments when you put two and two together. And for what it was, I realized that over the years I've gotten a lot of what I call cleverisms. When you say something, you go, oh, I really should write that down. It sounds kind of cool, it rhymes, sounds relatively intelligent. And you don't do it, and you lose it, and it never goes back. So I somehow realized one day that these are gifts that you get, and that these things come to me, and that I didn't put them down. So I made a commitment next time I get clever as an idea, I'm going to write it down. Don't forget it.
I'm glad you do.
Yeah, and I actually got an organizer, and I'll never forget the very first one I did. I was actually driving up to play with a buddy. You know the guy at Catfish Hodge?
Sure.
Yeah. I was going to do a gig with Catfish, and we had a lot of history. We'd done a lot of stuff together. I produced a record for him, and I was driving up to Northern California from Southern California, driving my van, was stoned. And I was thinking, something I got to say to him, like really had something on my mind, and I didn't know how I was going to approach him, So I'm thinking to myself, saying, okay, so Fish, so what I got to say, please, just take it to heart, because it comes from the heart. I heard myself say, take it to heart, because it comes from the heart. Oh, that's kind of cool, take it to heart, it comes from the heart. Wow, I really should write that down. And I did. And at 65 miles an hour with the steering wheel, and I wrote, take it to heart, because it comes from the heart. And I put it down. Yes, it comes from the heart deep inside. Ba-ba-da-ba, ba-ba-da-ba, ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. I like nursery rhymes, that's what I think. And so then I went a little further, so now I'm starting to kind of say something. No music, just the word. If you're wanting a friend, I'll be yours till the end. So don't take it so hard, because it comes from the heart. I thought, wow, that's a whole verse. And then I'm driving along from Northern, take it in stride, we got nothing to hide. If we cannot abide, then we're through. Too seldom we try, too often we lie. So let's get down to me and you, and let us be true. I had a little keyboard, and when I got to my motel, I kind of pulled it out, and I kind of came up with a simple melody. And came up with the bridge, and that was my first song. And me to unlock songwriting, I had to go lyrics first. It didn't work from the music first.
Well, this song speaks to that journey of when I first decided at 45 to start writing songs, and you know how it is when there's something you've been meaning to do for a long time and you finally get around to doing it. And all of a sudden you go, oh shit, suppose I can't do it. You know, and you have the doubt and the fear, and you start blaming everybody because you didn't do it, and you see the three fingers back, pointing back at you, and you blame yourself, and then there's the regret part of it. And I thought to myself, God, I wish I'd start doing this when I was 35 or 25, but I thought to myself, by the time I'm 55, if I don't start doing this, I'll be in the same damn place, you know what I mean? And that's not going to be good. So I did start doing it at 45, and I'm not in the same damn place, and I feel good about that. Yeah. So I send this out to you if there's one of these things that you've been meaning to do for a long time and haven't quite gotten around to it. Maybe it's something you've been meaning to stop doing for a long time and you haven't gotten around to it. This goes out to you, if not now. When I was a young boy, I had these dreams. Time didn't matter, or so it seemed. Now I'm still a dreamer, like I was back then. But time keeps screaming, if not now when. Hundreds of heartaches and broken down plans, so many warnings, and what if I can't? My fear held me captive, caged in a pen. It's time to break free, boy, if not now when. If not now when. If not me who. I can't pretend, 'cause I know it's true. I'll make this a vow, I swear, amen. My time is now, if not now when. Doubting and blaming, time to let them go, 'cause it's healing journey, it can go so slow. But I hear these voices again and again. They keep on calling, if not now when. If not now when. If not me who. I can't pretend, oh no, 'cause I know it's true. I'll make this a vow, I swear, amen. My time is now, if not now when. Play it for me, J-Boy. It's time to take this leap of faith without a net. Hello to destiny and goodbye regret. If not now when, if not me who. I can't pretend, 'cause I know it's true. I'll make this a vow, I swear, amen.
chorus again.
If not now, when? If not me, who can't pretend? 'Cause I know it's true. I make this a vow, swear amen. My time is now. Oh, not now, when? I make this a vow, I swear amen. My time is now. If not now, quick fire. If not now, when? If not now, when?
Now, were you playing the fretless bass back then?
I was. Well, I mean, I didn't start in fretless bass, but I remember walking in the music store in Philly in 1969, and it was called Music City on Chestnut Street. I'd been in there, I didn't know who I was, and the guy said, look what we have, and they had an Ampeg fretless bass. Remember the Ampeg? It had like, kind of like scrolls, kind of like an upright bass. And I thought, well, what a great concept, but it wasn't a Fender, it was just a sound, it was an Ampeg. But about 6 months later, I went in there, I said, hey, look what we got. They had a Fender fretless bass. Put like $50 down and finally paid it off and got it out. And I actually didn't play it for probably about 3 months. I was scared of it. We had this gig, it was a 6-night-a-week gig at a bar in Northeast Philadelphia, 5 sets a night. And I knew nobody was gonna come, it was just, a way to make a little money. So I thought I'm gonna take the fretless bass in that. So I played that 5 sets a night for 6 nights. And at the end of that week, I was hooked.
Yeah.
And I've been playing fretless ever since. So I was like 69 or 70. So yeah, I feel lucky I was one of the first fretless players. And I think that helped me get known too, as a fretless Freebo, with the, the hair, the whole deal, sitting next to Bonnie. So I feel really fortunate that there are bass players who to me were a whole lot better than me and played a whole lot more records, like James Jamerson, but he didn't have his name in the back of records, nobody knew who James Jamerson was. So I feel kind of guilty about that more people back then knew who I was than James Jamerson or Chuck Rainey or, any of the great bass players.
When you get home, baby, write me a few of your lines. When you get home, baby, write me a few of your lines. That will be consolation on my worried mind.
J-Boy Adams, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Freebo.
Oh, Stan, we're gonna do one more for you.
Wait.
I need you on this one. I need your help. I need your help too on this one.
Okay, Dan.
Can't do it on the bass.
I think you should do a tune on the bass and sing it just solo. I think that would be
That's really hard to do, man.
very cool. I think you could do it though, especially if you put some of those capos on.
I have to practice. That's the problem. Well, hey, I want to thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Thank you for playing with me.
It's a pleasure and an honor for you to be here. And besides all of that, over and above all that, it's just great to see you again.
Good to see you too, man. We're both alive and relatively well, I suppose.
And we're not vegetarians.
No, I'm not. I like vegetables, but I eat other stuff too.
I'm not going to try to live on them 100%. I got to.
I want to thank you all for coming out. Really appreciate it. And again, especially, you could have been home watching the baseball game. You could have done that. But really, thank you. Thank you all.
You play a fretted bass like it's a fretless bass.
Y'all were, you and Bonnie, you had a band then.
We did.
We're opening for Jackson. And you and David and Bonnie came over and played with us that night. And I have a recording of that, by the way.
Do you remember coming to Lubbock and playing with our band?
I remember coming to Lubbock. I mean, I remember the tour. So it was Jackson and Bonnie. We were all on the bus together.
How long have you two known each other?
Well, since then. Was it 1974? So the lyrics saying ba ba da ba ba da 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 da. Because I'm fairly musical, so I think that the rhythm leads me to a melody, whatever, to a phrasing, and so that kind of started off. And so I've written, 6, 7, 8 songs. I was in the Zydeco band. It was fun. The Zydeco band was fun, and I had this song called, I thought about playing it tonight, I'll Never Be Ready to Hang Up My Rock and Roll Shoes. So for that band, I turned I'll Never Be Ready to Hang Up My Zydeco Shoes and turned it into like a second line thing. So I had a song or two, and we were making a record, and I thought, hey, I got a song that was real new for me. Can we put one of my songs on the record? So we had 2 of my songs, and we did the tracks for them. And I just had a chance to just sing the vocal just once, and each one just a scratch vocal. And that was like on Wednesday or Thursday. And over the weekend, I guess, 2 of the guys in the band went in, and they told me on Monday, they said, hey, we were in the studio. We each put a vocal on your song. Sounds pretty good. I went, what? You put a vocal on my song? I want to sing my song. It's my song. This is my chance to do it. No, it's not. Your vocals, they weren't that good. I said, it's a fucking scratch vocal. I did it one time. And it's, well, no. And to me, that was a straw that broke the camel's back. It just made me realize that this happened to me over and over, that nobody's going to see me for how I would like to see myself over and over. And I just decided, instead of just, again, being a big pointing the finger at me, so wait a second, I gotta do this myself. So that really is what I said, I gotta make my own record. It's not gonna work with somebody else. So I started making my first record in I think it was 96. Finished it in 98 and released it in 99.
Call me freedom when I pass this way again.
The song's called Before the Separation. Was it an illusion back when I was young, when everyone was living on a promise, in unity and dignity, together we were one, believing in the freedom of a dream. Once upon the great frontier, not so long ago, the hope of man and earth were so connected. This beautiful creation, here to help us grow, is watching as it slowly slips away. On this carousel of madness, on a horse to kingdom come, I see our dream just melting in the sun. Won't you take me back to Eden, to a time when we were one, before the separation had begun? For the ones who have the money and the many who have not, the great divide grows wider by the moment. Equal opportunity doesn't mean a lot to the one who has to struggle to get by. On this carousel of madness, on a horse to kingdom come, I see our dream just melting in the sun. Won't you take me back to Eden, to a time when we were one, before the separation had begun? Hiding in our lives, we blindly close our eyes. Safe but not so sound, no freedom to be found, no. Now I will give my heart and soul, show undying faith, fighting for a cause that I believe in. Tactical delusions lead me not astray, for the voices of the healing will survive. On this carousel of madness, on a horse to kingdom come, I see our dream just melting in the sun. Won't you take me back to Eden, to a time when we were one, before the separation had begun? Oh, won't you take me back to Eden, to a time when we were one, before the separation had begun?
You're a wonderful lyricist. How does this come to you? It's just like when you were driving, the songs, the phrasing, the words, they all just sort of float in and out throughout the day. What does a day in your life look like when you're at home?
Oh man, I don't know, I'm a Pisces, I tend to float.
Random questions. What do you have for breakfast?
I don't know, combination of whatever's around. I like leftovers, you know. I like to throw stuff together. Different kinds of things I call slop. You know, it's a good combination. You throw an egg in along with some vegetables, some rice, whatever. Just,
I like it. I like it. Favorite TV show? Do you watch TV?
I don't watch a lot of TV. I mean, The Sopranos was great. I love The Sopranos. But, you know, I like sports, and I'm pretty interested in politics, so I watch the political channels, gather as much information as I can, come to my own conclusions.
What kind of car do you drive?
I'm a Prius.
Lovely.
So, the Prius, called Prius V.
What kind of furniture do you have? Is it real cushy, or do you have like Scandinavian hardwood, solid lines everywhere?
I mean, I've got some old stuff that was my grandmother's and then my mother's, and I've got some of that, and just just kind of thrown together stuff.
You're very sports oriented in your youth. Are you still?
No, I quit playing basketball about 30 years ago. I didn't know my hands. I try and work out. I used to like a lot of games. I don't play games so much anymore.
What kind of games?
All sorts of games, card games, backgammon, sports games, but I don't do so much anymore.
Marriages? How?
It was just one time.
Children?
I have a kid, like 50.
What's your happiest moment
My happiest moment.
so far?
For me, I think life is a lot about what I call little victories. Little victories are when you're kind of trying to achieve something and you do. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but as a singer-songwriter, it's the most challenging thing I've ever done. And I think to end up writing a song and learning how to play it and getting over your fear and actually being on stage and doing a show like tonight. But I've done this before, but the first time when you really do a show and go, oh my God, I just did this. I just accomplished something that I never thought that I would, or that I hoped that I would, and I did. So I've got quite a few little victories. One thing I remember is there's a book called The Artist's Way. It's a book about creativity. And I was with a group, and a couple people mentioned the book, and it was back in those days when they had to reorganize it. So somebody had mentioned it, and I actually wrote it down, and I went to a bookstore and I bought it, and I wound up doing it, and I would say it changed my life because it's all about creativity. And it's a workbook, and I did the whole book, and that was a big victory. It was huge.
The Artist's
It was called
Way.
The Artist's Way. But
And this was
94. Changed my life.
It's a simple 3-syllable call and response. So I feel good. So when I go, I feel good, you go, I feel good. I feel good. Let me hear you say, I feel good. Can you hear me? I feel good. Harmony.
I feel good.
You got it. This song's called Sometimes It's For Nothing, because you know, J-Boy, sometimes it is. Lucy likes potatoes, Billy likes his beer, Johnny drives a hot rod so we can get on out of here. Daddy's at the factory overtime again. Mama's a clipping coupons, instead of shopping with her friends. Well, sometimes it's for love, and sometimes it's for real. Sometimes you just know exactly how you feel. I feel good. I feel good. You sing it with me. I feel good. Oh, I feel good. I feel good. One more time. I feel good. Just like in the Bible, trouble comes along. Things start getting out of hand. You can't tell right from wrong. Sense and delight, Cain and Abel too. Everybody's got to do just what they got to do. Well, sometimes it's for nothing, and sometimes it's for real. Sometimes you just know exactly how you feel.
feel good. I feel good.
I feel good.
It's so good.
I feel good.
One more time.
I feel great.
You feel good? Last night I saw a movie where the hero gets the girl. I was sitting with my popcorn. I was in another world. Maybe I'm a dream, but this I truly swear. I saw the hero disappear. He was me up there. Well, sometimes it's for nothing, and sometimes it's for real. Sometimes you just know exactly how you feel. I feel good.
I feel good.
I feel good.
I feel good.
Yeah, sometimes it's for nothing, and sometimes it's for real. Sometimes you just know exactly how you feel. And I feel good.
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 It's so good.
Feeling good.
I feel good.
I feel
Just like
good.
you are would.
I feel great.
Feel so good.
I feel good. I feel good.
I feel good.
I feel good.
I feel good.
I feel good.
You are would.
I feel great.
Feel so good.
I feel good.
Like you I would.
I feel good.
Feel so good.
I feel 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 good.
Feel so good.
Feel so
Just like
good.
you I would.
I knew you would too.
Knew you could. Make me feel so good. And I knew you would. That I feel good.
Feel good.
Feel so good.
I feel good.
I feel good.
I'm so glad.
Here we go, last time.
I feel good. Yeah, yeah. Woo!
Thank you, everybody. Good night. Thank you, Jimmy.
Freebo, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Freebo.
And I ain't dead yet. Love it. Thank you. That's right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
So, what advice would you have for bassists?
My advice for bassists is one note at a time, but every note you play, play it with full intention. You know, it's like the right note at the right time for the right reason with full intention. That's what it's about. So it's just, just nail it. Don't do that. Every note has a purpose.
What would you have to say to songwriters?
The songwriters, I would say, when you get an idea, write it down. Just
Immediately.
record it because they're gifts, and then secondarily finish it.
And guitar players?
Tommy Emmanuel is incredible. Amazing guitar player.
Advice you would have for guitar players?
I'd say the same thing, advice for guitar players would be don't start with lead guitar. Learn chords, learn chord structure, learn rhythm, learn the basics. Jimi Hendrix, is one of the greatest guitar players ever. so I throw Jimi Hendrix in there. Tommy Emmanuel's great, and Jimi Hendrix is. And Jimi Hendrix stuff all comes from rhythm guitar. You know, his lead singer, but I think she started to really put it the other way around, right?
I love this partial capo. Guy from Kaiser turned me on to it about 10 years ago. It just kind of changes the tuning, changes the chord shapes, and really allows you to come up with different kinds of things. I love it.
Who did you idolize? Who did you look up to?
Jim Brown was a football player.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a serious football player. It's a big whole time. That's kind of what you got to do.
Yeah. And musician?
Back then, Louis Armstrong. I mean, obviously, influenced Chuck Berry, Little Richard.
Because?
Joni Mitchell, Bob Dylan. Well, because the first time I hear all this kind of music, and all of a sudden, Little Richard, Chuck Berry floated over the mountains onto the radio. Who's that? You know, it was just soulful.
Yeah.
I'd never heard anything like that before I heard it the first time. Fats Domino. When I first heard Fats Domino, I thought, that's some cool shit. The Coasters, I mean, yeah, a lot of that.
What's your favorite thing to eat?
Favorite thing to eat? I like salmon a lot.
Okay.
Wild.
How do you cook it?
I undercook just about everything. I like that.
It's the peace and the hope. It's what helps us to cope.
What does your future hold?
Wow, hopefully another 25 years, you know.
Of playing music like you did tonight?
Yeah,
Gigs?
I don't ever, I mean, the word retire, you know, it doesn't, why retire from something you love? I feel like I've just getting started really with the singer-songwriter thing. And, I mean, I have a bucket list thing I'd like to do. I would like to do a concert with an orchestra back with songs that, in my head and arrangements that really orchestrate stuff and have a full orchestra playing, you know, strings and woodwinds and brass.
You would write the arrangement for all the instruments?
I think I'd work with an arranger, because I really want an orchestrator, because I can come up with ideas, but I really would like somebody who really knows the orchestra. Here's where we're going to put the oboe and clarinet and bassoon. Here's where the strings are. So I can certainly come up with some lines, but to have it really well done and a really nice arrangement there are people who do that. I love the definition, one of the definitions of luck, which is preparation meets opportunity. So, in a way, without knowing it, I had prepared for it. I learned music, I didn't learn it, but I mean, I kind of put all the pieces together.
Sure.
It was given to me, and I apparently had an affinity for it.
And it puts you in the right place at the right time, too.
Definitely the right place, the right time, and you know, the late 60s and all that wonderful kind of music, and then with Bonnie and that whole singer-songwriter thing came out of the early 70s, and I was just lucky. Life would have to be busy making other plans. Also, everything happens for a reason.
How did you get started in music? Freebo. Where did the name Freebo come from? What is that? Who is that?
That's 4 questions right there, right off the bat.
I know. I'm quick, I told you.
Too quick for me, Patrice.
Okay, take your time.
Okay.
Such a lovely sound. Why do we put one another down? Just consider that there is no wrong or right, and consider that there is no black or white. There are always shades of gray to help us find our way to the light, to the light. I've heard it said, every culture has a history in stone, dances of their own they like to do. Wouldn't you like to be accepted just the way you are? Is that really hard to see? Couldn't we Find a way to understand and blow away that line in the sand. Just consider